Ladies and gentlemen, can it finally be time that Nebraska wins their first ever NCAA tournament game? You have the 4 seed Nebraska versus the 13 seed Troy. Nebraska 13.5 point favorites right now, according to ESPN. Can it finally happen? Can Nebraska finally overcome their woes in the NCAA tournament? And I think this is a really good matchup to do so. When you talk about matchups in this tournament and you really look for possible upsets, right? You really need to look for certain things. You need to look for certain things that really one team does really well versus the favorite doesn't do very well. And I think this is a matchup for Nebraska that you really don't see that. You really don't see that overall, and there's a few reasons why. And I think one of the main reasons why is one is this Troy team offensively is not very good. They just don't shoot the ball very well overall. They do have a couple of guys that I will say would be a little bit concerned about, especially from three. But the thing with Nebraska is they're one of the best 3 point defensive teams in the entire country. Now, if you're going to worry about two of these guys, it's going to be about Kobe and Cooper Campbell. They shoot a lot of threes, shoot at 38 and 40%. But when you have two guys that have a strength going up against a defense that is very good at that strength, I think you're going to rely on that defense to be able to respond to those guys. And really, outside of those guys, this is not a team that shoots the ball from three really well overall. Like, they don't force a ton of turnovers. One of the best parts of their offense is in offensive rebounding. But you look at Nebraska, one of their best defensive parts is that they don't allow a lot of offensive rebounds. This is really a matchup that seems to fit what Nebraska wants to do. This is a team that shoots the ball very well from two. That's a huge key to this Nebraska's offense. And a huge key to Nebraska's defense is stopping the 3 point shot. And even though Troy is not very good at shooting the three, they have a couple of guys that can't. Now, outside of offensively, Troy's not even better defensively. They're worse defensively. They do not block a lot of shots. Their strong point is limiting the three, but against the two, they're not very good. And you look at what Nebraska has done this year, their strength isn't the three, it's the two, right? Like, you look at just kind of the weaknesses of both of these teams, and it really aligns with what Nebraska does well. And you look at the strength of both of these teams, and it aligns with what Nebraska does well. Like, it just don't really seem to be, in my opinion, a chance that this is an upset. Now, I could be completely wrong, right? Things happen all the time. But if you look at Troy overall, offensively, it's going to be Victor Valdez. He's a forward. He's the leading scorer of the team. He does shoot a lot of threes, but he does not shoot very well from three. You have Thomas Stout and Theo Sang. Those guys contribute. But it's going to really be about defending the three and stopping guys like Kobe and Cooper Campbell. If Victor can get his own, maybe this is a closer game. But there's a reason why this is a 13.5 point favorite. This is a reason why it's a 14-3 game. This is not supposed to be a game where you're supposed to sweat. Now, obviously, with Nebraska's history, there's always a little bit of a sweat with them. You need to get over that hump. But, like, this is a Nebraska team that defensively, the last 10 games, they've been really good. The last 10 games offensively, they haven't been as good, but it's still a solid offense. And that's exactly what Nebraska needs in this one, because they have a couple of guys that can shoot the ball really well. And you have to mention one of those guys in Stanford. When he gets hot, there's no way of stopping him, right? He just shoots the ball very well. They obviously have Sam Hoiberg, who doesn't shoot a ton, but he's really kind of the glue to this team. And then you have Rick Mask as well. Rick Mask has been great for Nebraska this year. Every single game, it seems like he's contributing. He can hit threes. And this is also a defense for Nebraska that is very wonky as well. Not a ton of teams play this type of defense. And I think you see a lot of teams that struggle offensively against it pretty early on. And when you really factor in that this Troy offense is not very good, and this is a team that really forces you into tough shots, I see why Nebraska wins this one. I just think Nebraska defensively, they're a really good team. They're going to force Troy into really difficult shots. They're going to force them into shots that they're not very comfortable in. I think they'll do really well defensively against the three. I don't see the Campbell brothers going off from three. I think offensively they'll be able to put up a decent amount of points within the 3-point line. This is just a matchup that I see Nebraska winning their first NCAA tournament game. I think this is just a completely contrast style. I think there's too much here for Nebraska. I think this is a really effective field goal team. This is a team that takes care of the ball. This is a team that does not give up a whole ton of offensive rebounds and does a good job of keeping the other team off the board. And when I mentioned Troy offensively, the first thing I mentioned was the best part was offensive rebounding percentage. Nebraska is really good at preventing that. And I think because of that, I think because of the shooting that Nebraska has, because of the defense that has caused issues for other teams, because of Stanford, because of Frank Mass, because of Hoiberg as their head coach. I know they haven't been here. I know this isn't the most elite offense in the world, but this is an offense. This is a team that has enough experience that I think they get it done. And I really do think this is a game that, in my opinion, you should not be circling for a possible upset. I don't think the signs are here for an upset. Obviously, teams can get hot, right? Teams can play very well. This is a Troy team that could go off, right? Or this could be one of those games where Nebraska defensively isn't very good, or maybe offense holds them back. But I think when you look at signs overall in this one, I think this points to Nebraska getting their first NCAA tournament win. But you never know. You never know. Troy can get offensive rebounds. Troy can put up points. Maybe the Campbell brothers go off from three. You never know. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this game. 14-3. Do you think Nebraska gets their first NCAA tournament win? Let me know in the comments. Or do you think Troy pulls off this upset? Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you tune into the other episodes as well. I'm recapping and previewing a lot of different games. Not all of them, but a lot of different games. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment as well for more NCAA tournament content. Thanks again, and tune in to the next recap and preview.